Hey guys, I want to talk to you about the Hunger Games trilogy. And um, so, for those of you that ignored the title, the this is going to be a spoiler. All right. So I finished the third book last night, and then I read a little bit of a report by someone um, saying, what was it? Not a report, a article on why kids like what do they call it, dystopian um, stories today, which I thought was funny because it wasn't exactly a dystopian story, but whatever. Um, and then I think that the lady's daughter had actually said to her, the lady writing this article had said that the kids today care about politics or something, and I can't remember what she was saying, but she was saying that something else. Oh well, kids care because of this, and I was like, no, kids care because they're waking up to the reality of the situation in which we live in this country now, not because it was like because they have no hope of a college education or by getting a mortgage for a house or something like that. And I was like, no, kids are waking up because they see what's going on. Why do you think Ron Paul's so popular? Um, you know, so that was funny. But anyway, let's get to the story. It's Katniss Everdeen, the main character. She's sometimes annoying, but I think fairly realistic. I think that you have to remember that this is a teenage girl throughout the whole book. So oftentimes you'll feel like, hey, like let's get with the program, quit your crying or whatever. But she's often kind of hurting for any sort of what is that called? Um, Assertive kind of leadership. She's not really that, even though she's kind of forced into that role. So um, I think overall, in the end, she kills the leader of the resistance. So there's the spoilers begin. Hope you're not watching this still. Uh, and I think that kind of goes to show that she's still, even after all that she's been through, the psychological. I mean, if you could just imagine going through some essential gladiatorial games, and then being forced into the role of a leader of the rebellion. I mean, that's pretty traumatic for a teenage girl. So, um, I think she's a remarkable character in the book. Um, and then, of course, Peta, awesome character. He's just a really incredibly humble, nice guy, and um, I kind of admire that character a lot. It's interesting because there's a lot of different pieces of different people that I can see in myself in different characters in the book. Gale is the hunter friend, and he's like this. He's an incredible kind of character as well. Very passionate about um, liberty and how much he hates the government, and so it's kind of thinking like, yeah, I can relate with you there. Um, and Hamish is a good character. I mean, I can see him too. The apathy of realizing there's not a whole lot to do to battle against the vastness of a government like that, an oppressive government. But anyway, let's get to my overall impressions of the book, the trilogy. I think that it to be honest, I laughed hard. I cried actually a little bit, and um, I think that it was it was a really, 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 really good trilogy for me. And I don't really read fiction that much, so I was partially because it sucks, modern fiction at least. Um, and I was impressed with this series. And I heard a little. There's a little excerpt at the end of the audio series with the author, where she's talking about stuff, and it didn't quite click with me in that she was kind of saying, think about people that are hungry, that go hungry every day or whatever, and this and that, and it's like, I don't really care about that, but um, but the interesting thing is that it's so um, it hits close to home for me, I think, because it's makes me feel like um, I have all these thoughts. I mean, clearly, I am dissatisfied with our current government and believe them to be oppressive to a large extent. And so, to me, it was kind of a way to kind of live out a fantasy, maybe of you know having being able to live without that government. Let's say that. But um, yeah, overall the book was great. The everything was definitely within the realm of possibilities type of stuff. There wasn't any crazy science fictiony fantasy stuff. I mean, there was genetically modified beasts and things like that, but that was great. And I felt like that it was written in a way. The story was written in the sense in the view from the view of a 17-year-old teenage girl with the touches of the author, who's clearly not a 17-year-old girl. Um, that really improved the story to kind of carry it along and keep it going, and very interesting stuff. It was very interesting. I never felt bored per se. It was always a good storyline. So it's definitely a book, a trilogy to check out if you like anything of that sort of nature of a bit of action, a bit of drama, um, good story to check out. Um, I was slightly disappointed with the. I will say this, I was slightly disappointed in the last book as they're attacking the capital, and the little special forces group kind of breaks off, and okay, they get ambushed and they lose, like, I think two people in the I think it was like a 10 or 12 person raid, I think. Anyway, they lose two people in the ambush, and then they escape to away to this area, and then they get it down into the sewers and stuff, and there's, I think, 8 or 10 of them at that point. And then I don't believe that the special forces unit would have lost so many people so quickly. I mean, it could happen, sure, and given the circumstances of that time, yeah. I mean, I could see that there was a lot of shit going on with all the little traps and the genetically modified beasts, and you know the fact that they're behind enemy lines and all that. But really, I mean, it was kind of like, hello, these are the special forces guys. Seems like they could do a little better. I mean, plus they had a map of the whole area where everything was at, and they had a guy that had inside knowledge of the area. It just, uh, I think they could have done a little better with that. It seems like the end of the last book of that scene. It seems like it was a little rushed, that part of it. But um, and then her descent into her descent into her depression or whatever at the end was a little rough to follow. So I think the last half an hour of the audiobook was a little hard to finish. And then there was an epilogue, and I think that you could probably live without reading it. It wasn't, it was kind of a feel good epilogue. I would skip it. I think it would actually be a better book if there was no epilogue. So don't read it unless you absolutely, have to. It's kind of a feel good ending, and I'd rather have it end the way that the book ends, personally. Um, but if you like feel good endings, then read it. So, let's see. I don't know. In a book review, are you supposed to actually talk about the book? All right. Well, that's my freaking review of the trilogy. Um, an overview. I guess I shouldn't have given so much of an overview. But anyway, that's it. It's a great trilogy, and I think that was my only real problem with it was those ones, and I did enjoy it, and I think it was really great. I think I'll buy some hard copies actually. Thanks for watching.